All right. Episode 4, Week three's recap. The hunt gets real. Let's get ahead and get started. Welcome back to another DNS Address. The cameras are rolling. The microphones are live. The recruiting calls have been made. The film's been watched, and after 3 weeks, the honeymoon phase is over. The leagues officially enter the next phase. The contenders are starting to separate. The underdogs are finding their confidence, and every coach in this room has learned the same lesson. There are no free wins in the DNS. Let's get into week 3. Our headliner of the week. Last week, Georgia Southern shocked Clemson. This week, Coach Walker Stonewall Bennett had one job, and that was to not let it become a one-week story. Mission was accomplished. The Eagles marched into Jacksonville State and left with a convincing 31-10 victory. Max Johnson was efficient. DM continued to establish himself as one of the premier backs in the dynasty with 177 yards and a touchdown. Terrence Gibbs punched in 2 touchdowns on 2 carries. Brandon Tyson once again anchored the defense with 9 tackles. The biggest thing, though, there was no emotional letdown. Great teams stack wins. Georgia Southern just stacked another. The Eagles improved to 3-0. Our national spotlight. Let's head to Miami. The Hurricanes finally took their first loss of the season. Wake Forest wins 49-35. But before anybody sounds the alarm, let's appreciate what we just witnessed. Darian Mensah threw for 571, 4 touchdowns, had a rushing touchdown as well. Tony caught 13 passes for 278, 4 touchdowns. He is your national offensive player of the week. Those numbers are absolutely insane. So what happened? Turnovers, 3 lost fumbles, 1 interception, 4 sacks allowed. Sometimes football reminds you stats don't win games. Ball security does. Miami falls to 2-1. Nobody in this league wants to see them again. We will. The Bulls keep marching, though. While Miami stumbled, South Florida kept rolling. The Bulls dominated FCS Southeast 45-3. MVB threw for 369 and 3 tutties. DJ Crowther rushed for 165 yards and 3 more scores. Coach Matt quietly moves to 3-0. No drama, no headlines, just wins. That's exactly how championship teams operate. The Monarchs bounce back as well. After last week's rough loss to Virginia Tech, Old Dominion answered. Big time, the Monarchs knocked off East Carolina 49-35. James rushed for 3 touchdowns. Charles Jackson rushed for 2 more. Leo caught 10 passes for 160 yards and 2 tutties. Coach Crow didn't let one bad week define his season. That's the response you want. Georgia Tech finally exploded. Coach Bobcat, we've been saying it for weeks. Clean up the turnovers. And this offense can be dangerous. This week, Georgia Tech hung 64 points on FCS Southeast. Malachi Hosey rushed for 174 yards and 2 touchdowns. Trent May added 2 receiving touchdowns. The special teams got involved with a 99-yard kick return touchdown and an 82-yard punt return touchdown. Let's go special teams. The Yellow Jackets finally look like an explosive football team we've been waiting for. Now, let's see if they can do it against the FBS opponent. The heartbreak of the week, this one belongs to Arkansas State. Coach Shada, you went toe-to-toe with number 25 TCU. You threw for 400 yards. Your receivers combined for nearly 300 receiving yards. You returned an interception for a touchdown. And despite throwing 5 picks, you only lost by 3. That's a heartbreaking loss, but it's proof the Red Wolves have what it needs to be in the league, and the team belongs. Our breakthrough of the week was Coach Illa. Congrats, brother. Welcome. Texas State officially is in the win column. After weeks of fighting through close losses, the Bobcats finally break through with a 41-34 win over North Texas. Jalen Jenkins was outstanding, 168 rushing yards. 3 touchdowns. Sometimes all programs need is that one win, and let's see if Texas State can build. This week's need more film. Sacramento State, KB, 3 picks. The talent's obvious. The consistency isn't. Protecting the football has to become your priority number 1. Central Michigan also took their first loss. Wyoming escaped with a 13-10 victory. Coast Absolute, my bad. Sometimes ugly football happens. Flush it, learn from it, move on. We get to Northern Illinois, another close one, another tough loss. Coach Breezy, your defense continues to give this team opportunities. 5 sacks, an interception, and 4 turnovers. It was just too much, though. At 0-3, the Huskies are better than the record, but they have to prove it. Mississippi State also fell to 1-2 after a tough loss in South Carolina. But can we talk about Fluff Bothwell? 266 rushing yards. At this point, everybody knows he's going to get the football, but nobody can stop him. Week 3 awards, we have our Offensive Player of the Week, Darian Mensah from Miami, 571, 5 total touchdowns, one of the greatest performances we ever saw. He almost had to come back for Miami against Wake. Wake was just able to put some more points on the board. Defensive Player of the Week was Noah Flores from Arkansas State with 12 tackles, a 79-yard pick six. Nearly changed the outcome against a ranked opponent. Our Built Not Given award this week goes to Georgia Southern. Last week, Clemson's win wasn't luck. This week's performance proved it. The Eagles are no longer a surprise. They're a contender. Our standings after week 3. The league's beginning to shape our undefeateds. Georgia Southern and South Florida. 2 teams, 2 perfect records. Only one can stand unbeaten forever. The teams in the hunt, Miami, Central Michigan, Old Dominion, and Troy. They're all 4 2-1. One big win, though, can change the championship picture completely. Looking to climb, our 1-2 teams, Arkansas State, Georgia Tech, Mississippi State, and Texas State. Every one of these programs is showing flashes. Now it's about our consistency. They're going to turn it around. We'll see it. The program looking for answers. Sac State at 1-3. The Hornets have the talent, but the turnovers to continue to be the biggest obstacle between potential and production. Our week 4 look ahead, ladies and gentlemen, we arrive at one of the biggest matchups of the season so far. Our game of the week, user versus user, Central Michigan versus number 18 Miami. Absolute zero, Camaro Noodle. One coach is trying to knock off the top 20 program. The other's trying to prove last week wasn't a bump in the road. Somebody walks away with the statement win. Georgia Southern welcomes in number 25 Houston in a huge opportunity. Can the Eagles stay perfect? South Florida travels to Bowling Green looking to go to 4-0. Old Dominion hosts James Madison. Sun Belt to Ass conference game. Here we go. We love to see it. Troy heads west to Utah State. Georgia Tech visits Stanford. Mississippi State gets Mizzou. Sac State gets UMass. Texas State welcomes in FCS Midwest. Arkansas State hosts Kennesaw State. And Northern Illinois heads to Georgia State, searching for their first win. All of this, we're 3 weeks in. This isn't just a league. Now, it's become a season. The rivalries are growing. The pressure is mounting. The championship picture is starting to come into focus. And beginning next week, every game carries even more weight. Because in the DNS Dynasty, nobody remembers how you started. They only remember how you finish. Thank you for joining me on another DNS address. Recruit hard, protect the football, win the turnover battles. 1 week, just win them, boys. And remember, in the Department of Natural Selection, only the strongest survive. We are built, not given.